Hi, my name's Ethan White, and this is my screencast to describe how to create your own multidimensional perceptual map. I know this isn't quite like all the other tools being described, but when I looked at that toolbox, most of the tools that I use had already been described. But this has come in super useful for me, and I feel like is very relevant to this program, and it's a very efficient way to communicate a lot of information in one visual, which we seem to need to be able to do a lot. So it's an Excel template, and you basically go in and replace all the fields with your own fields. If we look here, like my company is Village, and then I'm comparing my company to Amazon, Facebook, LinkedIn, Blackbaud, which is a fundraising software, and PTAs. That's in reference to school PTAs because my company is trying to solve a fundraising problem for schools. So, and we compare it across 12 different variables or attributes. So this is what's really cool is the visual at the end, rather than being a two-dimensional perceptual map that compared a bunch of companies and showed their relative position across an X and a Y variable. This does it across 12 variables. And it's really simple. You just have to paste your data or you have to format your data into a 1:9 scale. If you don't have it already formatted that way, you can just scroll down to the bottom and there's a tool to paste it in here and it will reformat your data to fit the scale. So you just format it. One thing I hadn't replaced here yet was the soft drinks year one. So this was the example title. So it's as simple as you would go in there and just rename that. So I would call this a multi-attribute. So the goal of this, and really its power, is to communicate kind of the relevance of all of these attributes in one visual. And it's relatively easy to interpret as well. So then we just follow the steps. So we enter our brands, enter our attributes, then make sure it's scaled correctly. One thing you have to do, and the instructions are right here, is make sure that the solver add-in is loaded, especially if you're on a Mac. And that's just in Excel, and the instructions are indicated right there. It's very straightforward. And then we just click Produce Map. And if let's see, we scroll down, we can see it solving for all the attributes, and it uses a multidimensional scaling to solve for each attribute, and then it solves for each attribute one after the other, and then the relative association is communicated by the positioning, how close one thing is to another. A lot of times we think of like Wordles or word maps as communicating the same thing by relative size, and that is something that you could do with this. Is you could then go in, and I've done this if you want to change the relative size because certain attributes are more important, you can just go in and change the font on an individual one, and you could scale that to make it reflect another dimension of the data. So if I wanted to indicate that Village is really important in what we're looking at, I might do that. The other thing I've done to present this is, like, now this is overlapping with the word transparent, so I just might move it just a little bit, but to keep the same integrity. So what you can see that's really great and goes on in the explanation is that, oh, Village relates heavily to reflects my values, it's engaging, it is obligatory, it's transparent. Whereas it's very different from Amazon, and Amazon is more anonymous, it has more choices. Um, it's also more invasive. Convenient is right in the middle, so we might interpret that as saying, well, Amazon is really convenient, but so is Village, or convenient falls right in the middle. Um, and this is just an easy way to communicate a lot of information to a client or a prospective group of clients in any kind of presentation. And I found it a very effective way to summarize a lot of data in my 578 class and in my consumer psych class. So, and when I've shared it with people, they've been impressed by the tool because for most of you who've had the classes, you've known that they've talked about doing multidimensional or I guess, yeah, multidimensional or three-dimensional perceptual maps, and there was that example in our book, and they've used it as a bad example, but I got great feedback on using this tool, and I think it's very effective and it's very easy to use. So that's it. If anybody has questions specifically about how to use it, please feel free to reach out and ask me. I will also include the link to download it in my post. Thank you.